What's going on, Batman fans? We have a brand new look at Robert Pattinson's Batman movie directed by Matt Reeves, which comes out in March. Not long to go whatsoever. Every shot of this movie just looks stylish. And if you're a big comic book reader, I want you to let me know below, does this resemble a comic book? Like, is it basically a live action comic book from these images that we see? Catwoman and Batman meeting here. Then we have Bruce Wayne. That's a great shot right there, kind of like a silhouette. And we got some interesting kind of snippets from one of the producers, from Matt Reeves, from Colin Farrell, from Paul Dano, which I'll get into as well. But let's just look at these images first. Colin Farrell, I thought originally that he wasn't supposed to be in much of this movie, but he's in a lot of shots, different scenes and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. And then we have Bruce Wayne again. This Bruce Wayne says Reeves does not yet really know exactly how to be Batman. Interesting. Then we have Gordon and Batman working together. You can see a dead body in the background as well. I like how this is going to be a detective thriller, very much like Seven. These two guys are going to work together more than we've ever seen from any other Batman iteration in terms of detective work, which I'm very intrigued to see. And of course, a black Commissioner Gordon is something new, something fresh, and the actor Jeffrey Wright is fantastic, so no doubt he will nail it. But this is cool right here. Batman's rogue gallery. Colin Farrell's Penguin sitting in this big chair. He looks absolutely unrecognizable, but he looks fantastic as well. He had some interesting comments about what his character is based off, what movie and what character. So yeah, Colin Farrell, he's Irish, so I'm going to love him. I'm going to be biased anyway, but he must be fantastic in this movie if he's getting his own HBO Max solo series. Then we have Matt Reeves directing Batman, Robert Pattinson here. If you look in the background, there's a child sitting on the bed. So what happened? Was his parents murdered? What exactly happened here? That kid looks absolutely devastated and broken. But this is a cool shot here of Matt Reeves directing Robert Pattinson. He looks good. Robert Pattinson, he looks big. The suit looks pretty cool. And I see Matt Reeves is wearing his Riddler kind of outfit there, inspired by Paul Dano. Got another look at Paul Dano's Riddler as well. And you wouldn't tell it was him either. Like, he looks unrecognizable with the mask, the baggy clothes, the question mark on his clothes there as well. I'm looking forward to this. Jim Carrey's iteration of the character was different. It was campy. It was more of a homage to the original TV series with Adam West. But here we're going to get to see a really messed up Riddler that's going to leave a lot of clues for Batman to solve. Here's Matt Reeves directing Robert Pattinson again. Just everything about this movie looks absolutely fantastic. And this film was shut down a few times because of COVID, and that's why it took so long. So hopefully it doesn't affect the movie in any way. I'm sure it won't. Movie tricks and things like that. They shot all this movie on set designs that they built, so I'm sure it will look fantastic. And I think it's going to be a huge hit. It's coming out in March, unless there's some massive new virus that comes by then. This movie should do pretty well. You can see Spider-Man No Way Home right now doing insane at the box office. But the hype around the Batman since DC fandom, when that first trailer dropped, has been absolutely insane. People are so excited for this. And Robert Pattinson was my pick for Batman ever since Ben Affleck stood down. So it's cool to see him in the role. Here we get Saul Kravitz. She's going to play Catwoman in the film. Selena Kyle. She looks fantastic as well. Those long nails. The corset she's wearing. I think it's a corset. Don't ask me, I'm not into women's fashion. But she has said before she went through a big training regime to get into the role. So looking forward to seeing Catwoman do some insane stunts and fight sequences in the movie. Last played by Anne Hathaway in The Dark Knight Rises, who I think did a fine job. She was good. She didn't have that much to do, but she was good, But guys, what's your thoughts about this movie? How excited are you for the Batman? I know people are very upset right now because Michael Keaton is maybe taking over for Ben Affleck as the DCU Batman. It doesn't look good right now if you're an Affleck fan. So let me know your thoughts there. Maybe you're more excited for Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson's iteration of the character. Here is Paul Dano as Riddler again, taping a body up probably. And I think he's going to be fantastic. Not many actors have act against Daniel Day-Lewis so well. And Paul Dano is one of those actors. Go watch Let There Be Blood. Now let's have a look at what some of the cast, crew and director Matt Reeves had to say about the film. This comes from producer Dylan Clark. He had this to say. I've said this to Chris Nolan directly. Look, we're trying to be the best Batman ever made, and we're going to try and beat you. Now that's very strong words because for me, the greatest comic book movie of all time is The Dark Knight, which came out in 2008. And when you watch that movie today, it looks like it was made today. That's how good that is. He also said that Matt Reeves is interested in pushing this character to his emotional depths and shaking him to his core. Wow, that seems very dark and very intense right there. The Empire magazine also had this. Though Robert Pattinson's Bruce Wayne is a young version of the character, the Batman team are beginning in a different place to Nolan's Bat trilogy. If their film is still deeply influenced by Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli's defining comic book Batman Year One, it's not an outright origin story in the way Batman Begins was. Here's a quote. We've seen a lot of great stories about Bruce Wayne witnessing his parents' murder and then trying to find a way to cope with that by perfecting himself into Batman, explains Reeves. But I wanted to do a story where he's already been through the origins and does not yet really know exactly how to be Batman. It is a Year 2 story, and I wanted you to connect to him, not only as Bruce, but as Batman. Wow, that's really cool. So Matt Reeves, he wasn't interested in doing an origin story. He wanted us to meet Batman while he's been a couple of years into the role and he's struggling with it. He doesn't know how to be Batman yet, but he wants us to relate to Batman and also to Bruce Wayne. It is inspired by that Batman Year One comic, and if you've read that comic, let me know below. But it's very much not a direct adaptation and it's not a direct origin story for the character, which I liked Batman v Superman because we met Bruce Wayne 20 years into his role as Batman, which was Ben Affleck. And then I liked the Christopher Nolan one because we actually got to see his origin, like his rise and his fall as Batman. And then like with Val Kilmer and George Clooney and Tim Burton's Michael Keaton's Batman, it was all different periods we got to meet the character. And I like that. You want to see different interpretations of these characters by the actors. You want to see different iterations from the director and from the crew. But Colin Farrell, who is playing Penguin in the film, talked about his role and where the inspiration came from. This is what he said. Reeves mentioned Fredo to me, Farrell tells Empire, because Fredo's crippled by the insignificance that he lives within, in a family that is full of very strong, very bright, very capable, very violent men, which is why he commits the act of betrayal that he does, because he's weak, he's kind of broken, and he's in pain. There's a kind of fracture at the core of Oz, which fuels his desire and his ambition to rise within the criminal cabal. Where that rise goes, I would love to get to explore that in the second film, if that was ever to happen. Now, I think Fredo is from the Godfather trilogy, which of course is about mobsters and families and stuff like that. So it sounds like here from his quotes that he turns on his family, or maybe he turns on a family member to get to the top of the family empire or something like that. He does something because of betrayal. He's in pain, he's weak, he's kind of broken. That's what Colin Farrell had to say. So he must do something pretty bad to warrant the power that he has in the movie and the respect that he has in the movie as Oswald Cobblepot, the Penguin. And also remember, guys, he's getting his own HBO Max series. We have another quote here. Matt had seen the character as classically somewhat portly, rotund, whatever the word, explains Farrell. I just finished The Note of Water, which I put on weight for, and Matt said, you look great. I thought, well, fucking say goodbye to it because I'm about to hit the treadmill. I need to get my health back. So we explored other means of creating the physical character. Once Farrell put his entire Penguin get-up on for the first time, prosthetics and all, it all came together. I walked around the studio, and then the voice work I had done with Jessica Drake, the dialect coach, started coming out, and Oz just came alive. It was extraordinary. So that's funny that Colin Farrell had put on weight for a movie, and Matt Reeves thought, oh, you look great. And Colin Farrell's like, well, don't get used to it. I'm going to lose this weight. I need to do it for my health. And then they got the prosthetics, and he put on the fat suit and stuff like that to be the Penguin that we see in the trailers, and he looks absolutely fantastic and unrecognizable. So I'm looking forward to seeing Colin Farrell, of course, but another actor that I cannot wait to see in the Batman is Paul Dano as the Riddler. We've got some quotes from him that come from the Empire magazine. This is what the magazine had to say. While Reeves has spoken about basing the character somewhat on the Zodiac Killer, who taunted the police with coded letters about his crimes even as his spree continued, For Dano, that's only a starting point. This is what he had to say. I liked how both grounded and big this film is at the same time. So there are some grounding forces like the Zodiac Killer, right? But it's still the Batman. And for me, it's much bigger. It was important to let my imagination react to the script rather than strictly basing it on a serial killer. So that's interesting. So he reacted to the script and what that was conveying the story to be, and he reacted to it instead of looking at the Zodiac Killer and say, yeah, I'm going to be that guy. And if you've never seen the Zodiac Killer movie, I think Robert Downey Jr.'s in it, Mark Ruffalo, Jake Gyllenhaal, I think. Can't remember, I haven't seen it in a while, but that's a really good movie. And you get to explore this kind of Zodiac Killer from afar and see how he was kind of messing with the police. And it looks like from the trailers and everything we've seen that Paul Dano's Riddler is doing something very similar to that. But not only the police, he's messing with Batman because I think he knows something deeper. Paul Dano also talks about the costume. The costume was very intense. I think the potential DIY element you're talking about was actually scarier to me than the more sophisticated or composed designs we might have played with. I found working with the costume to be very powerful. When you put on something like that, there's a way to let it speak to you and tell your body something. There's a way to let it have a life of its own. So, he had a big say in how to portray his costume in the film, and as I said, he looks unrecognizable, so I bet you he had some fun with that as well, because he is camouflaged by a mask and by that get-up he's wearing, so he can just do whatever he likes as a performing actor and as a character in the film. But guys, that's more information about the Batman that we didn't know. Matt Reeves, the producer, Dylan Clark, Paul Dano and Colin Farrell all gave us some very interesting information about the Batman film, some cool new first looks as well, and the movie is not that far away. We'll get brand new trailers, posters, character posters, more interviews. It's pretty cool right now. We're getting 3 Batmans. Ben Affleck in The Flash, Michael Keaton in The Flash, and then Batgirl, and then Robert Pattinson in his own solo movie. And I know some people are upset at Michael Keaton's return, and Ben Affleck is probably out after The Flash movie, but at least Robert Pattinson's standalone world as Batman is a big distraction to that. I think this film will knock it out of the park, and maybe even a better Batman than Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton when they portray the character in the Flash movie. We'll have to wait and see. But guys, let me know your thoughts on this first look, new images, interviews, all this information. Are you excited? Let me know below. Thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.